Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome to the August 2025 monthly update. This is the video where we talk about all things wargaming, talk about games I've played over the past month and a half. We're going to take a look at some of the new games that have arrived in the house. Also like to talk a little bit about miniatures. We had a survey on the end of the last upcoming Wargames video. People filled that out and said, do you play wargaming miniatures as well as traditional board war games or PC war games? Some interesting results and answers in that survey. And if you entered that survey, you are included in the drawing for the $50 store gift certificate to Noble Knight Games. I'd also like to talk a little bit about streaming, live streaming of board games, PC games too. Got some questions I'd like to hear, people's ideas and thoughts on that. I'd also like to talk about the solo game of the summer, give you an ASL update, and talk a little bit about playing a war game and playing a board game in every state in the United States. Other little tidbits to talk about as well. Let's jump right in and get started. As we do start this out, I'd like to remind people that this video is sponsored by Noble Knight Games. They're a board games retailer in Wisconsin. In addition to board games, they also sell tons of miniature supplies, used stuff, new stuff. They are expanding their warehouse, making it much larger than it was before so they can hold more stuff to sell us. Links are down below if you'd like to check them out. If you're looking for anything hobbying relating, new or used, or you have some extra games you want to sell, they are a great source of that. And if you do use the links down below in the description, a little bit does help out the channel as well. So thanks to all the people who have been doing that over the past few months. That being said, it's time to jump in and get started. Let's start this monthly update out with games I've played since the last monthly update. Now, usually I try to do these every month, but sometimes they can float to 6 or 7 weeks, and that's what this one is. So there's a good bit of stuff in here. In no particular order, I'm going to name some of the ones that have popped into my mind as I was thinking about this video. First up, World at War 85, Blood and Fury. This is from Lock and Load Publishing. It's the Cold War gone hot World War III tactical level game that they've published. There's now got 2 big games with a bunch of expansions for it. So I think it's fair to say that this one's at the system level. Now, this game has been on my list of games to make some playthrough content for. I did an overview video for it and for some of the expansions and the other game a while back, and it's been on my list to make some playthroughs for it. And Keith Tracton, the designer, and Devin Heinley from Lock and Load Publishing and Jeff Schulte reached out and said, hey, do you want to get together and play it live on their, I think it's called Friendly Fire, Friday Night Fights, something like that. They have a series they run every Friday night on their channel Livestream. And so we got together and played that. At the end of June, we played the first half of the scenario, and then in early July, we played the second half of the scenario. I'll put a link down below if you want to check out those 2 live streams. We go into a lot of depth, and it was really helpful for me to get a chance to play with 3 people, including, of course, the designer, who really know the system very, very well. So it really helped answer a lot of my questions. I was very much absolutely the most inexperienced person there. And Jeff and I teamed up and played against Keith. We were the NATO forces, and Keith took the Soviet forces. Really fun scenario. I know World War III combat, kind of the Cold War gone hot combat, can often get very, very complex. You've got just complex systems, right? It's much more complex than World War II, World War I, earlier warfare. So the games, I think, can sometimes, the systems can be very, very complex. This one, I think, does a fantastic job of keeping gameplay streamlined. So that was a ton of fun. Links are down below if you want to check that one out. Next up, Old School Tactical. This is when I played pretty much for 2 days straight last week. I've always wanted to dig into this system, and they reached out, asked if I'd like to create a video for their upcoming Volume 5. So I got a chance to explore a prototype of their system, and so played that for about 2 days and then created a short gameplay video on that. Really fun system. I mentioned it in the video itself, but learning tactical systems for World War II has always been a hill to climb. And I like them. I like all of the ones I've played so far. But generally when I sit down, it's a deep breath. It's like, okay, this is going to take some time to figure this out. Old School Tactical is fun to play and fast to learn. And it doesn't sacrifice a ton in terms of the realism. Like, it feels like you're playing World War II tactical combat. I think they've done a really nice job with that one in terms of shaving off the unnecessary and keeping enough so that it feels like you're playing some really meaty World War II tactical combat. I've got a couple of videos on the channel on that. You can find them on the channel. I'll try to put some links down below as well. That's been really fun. British Tank Ace from Compass Games is another one. I decided to make the long series. I like to have one series on the channel where I'm playing maybe one mission a week, and just let it go for however many months it takes or weeks it takes or whatever. No rush, just let's take our time through it, play one scenario a week and go through. And that's what I've got going now on the channel. I just finished the 3rd mission, and we have had, it might be the most amazing streak of luck I've had dice rolling since I came back to Board War Games about 3.5 years ago. I don't know if I've ever rolled quite this well. I mean, we cannot miss. We're just destroying everything. And so it's been a really good start to this campaign. And I'll put a link down below to one of the episodes. You can find it on the channel as well too. But that's been a really fun game. I'm enjoying it because we're blowing everything up, for one thing. I think our luck is probably going to turn at some point and we're going to start getting our tank destroyed. But we're going to enjoy the ride while we can. This week I've also been playing 3 games that came in from Worthington Publishing. It's their Solitaire series, Shogun Solitaire, Europe at War 1940, and then French and Indian War. So these 3 games, these are games that they're Solitaire games, as you would expect from the titles. They take about 15 minutes to learn and about 15 minutes to a half an hour to play. And I've gone through all 3 of them over the course of the last week, playing them a couple times each. Really fun additions to the series. I think these 2 here, the French and Indian War one and Shogun Solitaire, might be my favorites in the series so far. French and Indian War, I feel like, has a good balance of interesting decisions and complexity and difficulty. And then Shogun Solitaire, very different game. Artwork's beautiful, really fun. I wouldn't call it a war game. It's a war-themed game about having 4 clans taking over, becoming the one shogunate in Japan. So that's been fun to play too. Europe at War 1940, I really like the theme on this one, but this one feels so hard. I might just need to level up and kind of make a different couple of decisions or think about some different tactics I can use in the game. So I'm not giving up, but I haven't had any success with that one at all. I haven't even I've lost the war in Germany most of the times I've played it in 1940. So I'm not doing very well at Europe at War 1940 Solitaire. Another one I've been playing quite a bit of is Hunt for Blackbeard on Rally the Troops. So Hunt for Blackbeard is the game from Fort Circle Games where you get to play as either Blackbeard the pirate in 1718 or the hunters trying to track him down on the eastern seaboard of the United States. It's a 2-player game with a lot of hidden information and guessing where your opponent is going to be and what they're going to do, designed by Vocal Runke. Now, the physical game isn't out yet. It is in one of the stages of production, and the tariffs and other situations around the world has kind of slowed their production down a fair bit. But, and to let people play the game, they released the free version on Rally the Troops, which is great. So I think I've got my 10th game going now on that platform. It's a fun game. It takes probably 15 minutes to play it on the Rally the Troops platform because the platform does all the decisions behind you. So it's a great game for asynchronous play, which is the way I've been playing it. Really enjoy this one. It's fun. There's a lot more subtlety to it as you dig into it, which is the hallmark, I think, of a Vocal Runke game. But I've really been enjoying playing both sides of this one and thinking through different strategies on how to win. So that's been a fun one. Another game I'm happy I finally got to the table, Iwo Jima 1945 from Worthington Publishing. This is the brother game to Tarawa, which I don't have that one yet, but I've got the Iwo Jima one, but very similar gameplay. You take charge in this solitaire game of the U.S. forces trying to invade whatever island the game is named after. In this case, Iwo Jima 1945, World War II against the Japanese. Very challenging game, very hard. I think it's one of the Worthington games where you need to play both well and be lucky in order to have a chance to win. I've not come close to winning yet. It is fun to try, though. One of these days, I'll get it. But I've been enjoying that one. They're fun. I think once you figure out the strategy, you're kind of hoping that the cards and the dice work out for you to win. But it is fun, and it's I would say, almost a beer and pretzels game in that regard. But they're a good series of games, so I've been enjoying that one. On the PC side, a very interesting one that I've been enjoying is No Retreat, the Russian Front. Now, this is a game designed by Kyle Paradis, published by GMT Games, that is being ported over on Steam in a PC format, and they just released the early release version, the early access version, so they're still working on it, and the AI needs some help, as you can see, and some of the interface things are still being worked on, which is totally to be accepted. I know there were a number of comments that were, a lot of people like the gameplay, of course, but there were a fair number of comments, criticizing the game for interface or the AI, but it's early release. Those things, that's why they do it, so they can make it better over time. It's definitely very playable in its current state. I really like that board game and the PC version, playing solitaire against it. I can't wait when they get this one polished up into its final form. I think it's going to be a brilliant addition. Assuming they can keep making progress on the interface and the AI and those elements there, this is a really fun one. So if you have enjoyed the board game version of that, you might want to check this out. It's out on Steam and you can get it now. So No Retreat, the Russian Front. Good one. Sticking with the PC side for Hex Encounters Wargaming, Slytherin Software, the publishers of Panzer Corps 2 and a number of other great turn-based military strategy games that they have now gradually bringing, I think almost all of their stuff is now on Steam as well, had their 25th anniversary, and I got invited to do a stream for them on that as part of that and give away some of their keys, their game keys. So I did my first live stream gaming session on the channel in the 3.5 years that I've been having the channel. So I'm going to cycle back to this topic later. It was really fun to do. I thank you to everybody who tuned in. I think we had an average viewership of about 50 people, which is a little bit, it's a little bit, honestly, I'll be nervous when I do this because I'm not used to people watching me play live, especially that many people. It's a small amount for a larger streamer, of course, but to have 50 people watching you play a game. People were very gentle, very kind, and I'm by no means an expert. I'm a very, I'd say probably low intermediate to maybe intermediate level player at the game. So people were very gentle. We had a great time. I want to cycle back to this topic, but if you like Hex Encounters Wargame and you're not against playing something on a PC, if you like playing them on the PC, I can't recommend Panzer Corps 2 more highly. It's just such a fantastic, massive system with RPG elements. I mean, really fun game. So that was fun to do. I'm really glad I did. I've been since playing that game on my own. I've started one of the core games again, playing through the campaign at the intermediate level of difficulty. I really like this game. It's a fun game. Shifting back to tabletop, Castelnuovo from Draco Ideas. This is a game that was just on Kickstarter. I think now the pledge manager is probably open. Block-based game where you can't see your opponent's values, and one person takes control of the Spanish, trying to defend their besieged town of Castelnuovo, and then you've got your Turkish opponents that are trying to take the city. Really neat twist on one of the block-based stand-up games. We don't have a ton of blocks, but the way they've structured the playing of the besieged Spanish defenders, it's a very active defense, and you can't just sit back and receive. You've got to attack and attack well and know when to attack, play your cards well. This is a fun block-based game. I think this one might be one of the more intriguing block-based games that I've played. And I've played maybe a half dozen of them now, but I really like this one. So this one you might want to check out. I'll put a link down below to its Kickstarter if you want to check it out, but there's also a video of gameplay on the channel as well. So there's some thoughts on recent things I've played over the past 7 weeks. It's not everything, but it's a number of the stuff, most of the war games. I've played a bunch of Euros as well. But ones that are on the table now are New Cold War from VUCA Sims. I've been wanting to create some gameplay video of that one and explore the solo system in that game. This is a geopolitical game, starts in 1989 and goes all the way up to 2015. I might have that wrong. But it looks very interesting. I love the VUCA design. I've been curious to see how this one plays. So I finally created some space, and I'm going to create a video on that one this week. And then solo game of the summer, I'll cycle back to this one in a moment. Empire of the Sun, it's on the table. I'm playing and learning the South Pacific scenario to try to get into that. Because I realized, well, I'll talk more about that in a minute. And then lastly, on the PC side, Gloomhaven. I've been long wanting, it's on my bucket list is to play a Gloomhaven campaign. And I started with a friend right before COVID hit playing the tabletop version. And then COVID hit and it wiped out our game because we couldn't get together for about a year. And then we just haven't resumed it. So now I'm going to try this on the PC side with Lyle from Lyle's Indies Games. We're going to try a 2-player campaign starting next Saturday. I'm very excited to dig into Gloomhaven and see how this goes. Let's talk about some odds and ends now. Some of you may recall, and a few of you keep reminding me of this. I bought a rather large set of Advanced Squad Leader content about a few months ago, it was. And I got off to a very good start with it, but then got sidetracked a little bit. And then my tables have gotten tied up with other things. I could make a bunch of excuses. Progress on the Advanced Squad Leader gameplay and learning system has kind of ground to a halt. I do have, I think, what is a valid excuse, and I'll talk about that when I show the new and in-the-house games that have come in the past month and talk a little bit about those. But I'm going to commit to this now because playing tactical combat systems has made me realize that I really like World War II tactical combat. And I'm so close to getting Advanced Squad Leader down, at least the starter kit level with the support guns and infantry. I don't think I'm at vehicle level yet, but I was there and I lost ground a little bit. I'm going to commit to making a gameplay video of Advanced Squad Leader in August. I will publish it. I don't know what the consequences will be. You can suggest consequences down in the comments below, but I will have a video out for Advanced Squad Leader in the month of August. promise this. I mean, unless something really bad happens to me. And it hasn't been from a lack of wanting. I'll kind of talk about it in a moment, but that's the Advanced Squad Leader update. So don't give up hope on me yet, but it hasn't been much progress in the past month and a half. Solo game of the summer. I mentioned that I started the South Pacific scenario in Empire of the Sun. And I realized that the summer's almost half over and I hadn't had a chance to start on that. So this weekend, I'm like, okay, we're going to make progress on the Empire of the Sun. I've got the South Pacific scenario all set up. Now, I haven't read the rules yet, right? So I don't usually read the rules before I try to play. I basically try to skim the rules, set up a game, and then read the rules and play solo as I try to figure things out. So I've got a 2-player game set up right now for that scenario, and I'm just digging in now to the gameplay. I am finding it a little challenging to figure out to get a foothold on the gameplay, but I'm sure that'll sort itself out in the next hour or so, and I'm looking forward to digging into that. So I should have more of an update on that one, perhaps some information coming out in various places on the Patreon, and then kind of posts on the channel. At some point, it'd be fun to create some gameplay on that one. But I have to get much better at the game. I have to learn the game and get much better at the game before we could get there in that point. Yeah. And then in the previous monthly update, I mentioned a challenge I thought would be fun to try to do. It was a long side quest, right? Which is to play a board game in every state in the United States. And a number of people shared how many games, how many states or countries they've played in, or counties or territories. And it's interesting to see that, some people have a fair number of countries, especially if you're living in Europe. And a couple people in the military mentioned they've got a pretty large number of states, but I don't think I saw anyone that had over half of the states, which was just interesting to me because I think a lot of people have been to a lot of countries in the United States. Anyway, not to belabor the point, I was at 7, now I'm at 9. I picked up 2 states in June. Our daughter moved out to Montana to start a new job there, so I drove her out in June. And on the way, we were in North Dakota, so in the hotel in North Dakota. She was tired, but I brought Witchcraft with me, designed by David Thompson and Trevor Benjamin, and I played Witchcraft in the hotel in North Dakota. 8th state, and then we were in Montana. My daughter was starting work. I was helping her move in, so I had some couple of days where I had chunks of time to explore Helena and Montana on my own. And then for one of those days, I sat down and I played Iwo Jima in 1945, the solitaire game I just talked about, in the Airbnb in Montana. Had fun playing that. So up to 9 states, 2 more states in the bag. I'm tempted to drive down to Iowa. I was only about 2 hours away. And I could drive down to Iowa and pick up Iowa if I played a game down there. That's a little bit obsessive for this, but I'm kind of getting into this now. Could you play a game in all 50 states in the United States? Now, if we count Washington, D.C., which we probably should, that would give me 10. So, and that would be 51. Maybe Puerto Rico, 52. Anyway, we'll calm down, but did make some progress with that one. As always in the monthly updates, I like to take a moment to thank the Patreon supporters of the channel. We're up about 50 paid members right now. So I really appreciate all the support that people have been giving. And some people have been here for over 3.5 years. It's always incredibly helpful. We have 2 new members, Mela Blackney and Kyle Boyette. Thanks for signing up in the past month. And if you'd like more information, the Patreon link is down below. It's pretty easy to sign up. And we do have a Patreon Discord for paid members too. So you can come over and be part of the community. I'd say probably half of the paid members are in the Patreon community there, and we've got some asynchronous games going and conversations going and random postings about life as well. So please feel free to please feel free to come on over and join. Love to have you to be part of the community. Thanks to everybody who's been supporting. New and in the house. It's been a busy 7 weeks. A lot of stuff has come in. Most of the ones we'll be looking at are review copies, which means that they'll show up on the channel or already have shown up on the channel as I start to play through them and create content for them. In no particular order, let's start. So first up, Gettysburg, the First Day from Revolution Games, Volume 12 in the Blind Sword system. Of course, about the first day of fighting at Gettysburg. This is designed by Steve Carey. He's done a number of games in this miraculous, brilliant system. I think it's got a fantastic balance of gameplay and complexity and interesting decision matrices. So I'm very looking forward to getting this one to the table. There's an overview video up on it on the channel. I've got it punched and clipped. It's ready to get to the table pretty soon. So there should be some gameplay coming up on the channel at some point in the next month. Gettysburg, the First Day. British Tank Ace, we've talked about this one. This is going to be a long-term playthrough. I've got the 3rd mission up. We'll see how long it goes. But this one's been fun. I mean, I talked about it earlier, but there's definitely a strong element of roll good dice to it. And so far we've rolled good dice, so things are going well. But we're going to die. Well, I'm not sure we're going to die, but your tank can get destroyed and you can just survive. But I'm expecting casualties coming up soon with this one. But I've been enjoying the playthrough on this one. Sticking with Compass Games, Combat Volume 3, Arnhem. I've got an overview video up on the channel of this one. Eventually some gameplay will be coming as well. This is the solitaire man-to-man combat system in Volume 3. This is completely standalone. A bunch of people asked that when I put up the overview video, but this is a standalone volume, so you don't need one or two to play this, that covers 7 scenarios in and around the Arnhem Bridge during Operation Market Garden. You get to play as the British forces in this one. So man-to-man combat and solo, those are two high interest points for me. And related to this one, let me show you actually another one that just came in a day or two ago. Got it, Off the Line. Another man-to-man combat game. Each counter is a single man, just like in Combat 3, but Combat is a solo game. This is, it's got solo guidance for it, but it's designed as a 2-player game. I think it's going to be very solo friendly. This is designed by Mike Nagel and published by Relative Range. 12 maps in here, double-sided, so you get 24 maps that you can put together in all sorts of different combinations. A couple of big counter sheets, some scenarios. Look, it's going to be really fun to design your own scenarios for this one. But again, if you've been a watcher of the channel, you know that I've mentioned a few times, I used to love Sniper, the old SPI game. So man-to-man combat games, games like Combat, games like Off the Line are absolute must checkouts for me. So I'm excited to get this one to the channel and show some content for this one coming out soon. I've thumbed through it so far. It just came 2 days ago, so I haven't had much chance to look at it yet, but I'm very intrigued by this one. This one looks really good. Talked about these earlier, but the 3 solitaire games from Worthington Publishing, so Europe at War, French and Indian War, and then Shogun Solitaire. The other nice thing I will say about these two is that they're playable in about 15 minutes, and they're so small. You literally, so if you're going somewhere for a day trip, you can just chuck them in a backpack, or if you're taking a business trip, you can chuck them in your carry-on luggage and take them with you, and then you've got a game to play in the hotel. I feel like that sort of, it's easy for me to sit down when I've got 20 minutes and just cruise through my phone and look at social media, but instead I can play a whole game. And so I think these games offer me an opportunity to do something more interesting than doom scroll and play a game in a short period of time. And so for that, I'm finding that these short games have a much bigger place in my life as I look towards structuring more gameplay into it. So I'm a big fan of these. These are really fun. Sticking with Worthington Publishing, Epic Battle of Alicia. This is Gaul versus Rome in 52 BC, hex encounters, ancient combat. This looks like just a massive recreation of this battle, and yet with a modest rule set. So I don't know much about this one. I'm excited, intrigued to open it up and explore it. I've opened it up, but explore it in some depth and create some content for this one. So Worthington Publishing also, I think, when we talk about companies that have high production values with their stuff, of course, we've got the big ones, GMT, Compass Games and things. Worthington Publishing is right up there with VUCA Sims in terms of the quality of their content. The boxes are good, the counters are good, materials are good, the cards are all vinyl. Just really, they make good stuff too, which is always really nice to see some durability. And speaking of intriguing games that I didn't know much about previously, also from Worthington Publishing, Imperial Stars 2 Legacy. So this has the original edition of the game, plus the expansions designed by Chris Taylor and Alan Emmerich. And I think they've basically taken everything in the Imperial Stars world and put it into this box. A big, thick box, 3 mounted maps, I think printed on both sides. So you got a ton of scenarios, kind of a 4X space exploration game, extermination, combat, exploration as you're moving your way through space. So I'm intrigued to check out this one and see what it looks like. Production values, again, all the maps are mounted, just very high production values on this one. So I'm intrigued to check it out. 4 more to go. Next up is Armed Conflict. This is the first game from Bockholm Games, designed by Sebastian Kielman. This game, Sebastian was an officer in the Finnish Defense Forces, and he's designed this as a 2 to 6 player game where it's loose. It's not tied to any specific historical conflict. So as I look at it, it's got a certain Tactics 2 feel to it, but it's loosely set in a post-World War II to modern day framework, and it allows players to focus on strategic decision making without being bound to real world events. So an accessible game, hex encounters. I don't want to say too much about it because I've just begun to explore it, but I'll be creating an overview video for it on the channel. This one looks intriguing. It's always good to see new companies stepping into the wargaming fold. Welcome to Bockholm Games, to the wargaming community, and good luck with their first game. There'll be some crowdfunding coming up on this in August. I'll put a link down below to if you want to sign up to be notified for it. Next up is one that I bought. It just arrived a couple days ago, Inflection Point from Multipoint Games. This is their newest version in the Battalion Combat series, their BCS series. I on my list of things to do is to dig into this series. I bought it because they go out of print so fast and they get so expensive so fast. There's one that I don't have, and I was looking, I think it was on Noble Knight. It's $400 or $300 or $500 now. So they get so expensive when they go out of print because you just can't get them for a number of years. So this is more a for later, probably for perhaps a for retirement purchase, but I did want to pick it up while it was available. And I got it there was a very good price because they had it at a low price, and then they added the tariff amount got added to it. But if you pre-ordered before then, you got it at the low price. So it was about half price to the final price or whatever it is now when I first ordered. So it seemed like a good deal, and I wanted to add that one to the collection. This is definitely a for later game, although maybe hopefully sooner than really later. Talked about this earlier, but this is the prototype box for Old School Tactical. They use Flying Pig Games uses rather big boxes for this stuff. The maps are big. I think I might get it wrong. I say 44 inch by 21 inch, going by memory here, but it's big. Big map in here, beautiful color map, big counters, really nice production values on this one. So it's been fun digging into this one. I talked about it, of course, earlier in the video. Last but not least, and before I show this one, I think a little bit of channel history. For people that have been around the channel for a long time, you know that the very first video I made in the channel, and my first year's worth of content, was about Football Manager, the PC soccer for US people, the soccer management where you manage a soccer team and you over a number of seasons and try to build it up. That's probably the PC game I've played the most of. If you had top 5 PC games, it's definitely in my top 5. I've played it more than American Truck Simulator and Euro Truck Simulator 2. Absolutely love the game. So this game, when I saw this game come out, I thought, oh yes, I definitely want to take a look at this one. Super Team. So this is a 1 to 2 player tactical soccer game, Hex Encounters, that as I looked at it, I said, okay, I like football, soccer, so I want to check it out for that reason. But it's also Hex Encounters. It's got a very wargamey type. I think wargamers are going to like it too. So I thought, yes, okay, I'll definitely take a look at this one. I'm going to be showing an overview of this one and creating some gameplay content for this. Very excited to check it out. It just came this week. And there's a crowdfunding campaign coming up in August, and I'll put a link to that as it's ready. But I'm excited to take a look. It's going to be something different, right? I mean, it's always good to throw different things in the channel, something a little bit different. But I think there's enough overlap with it, with wargaming, and I know there's a lot of football fans on the channel as well. So very excited to look at this one. I'll be creating some content for Super Team in the next few weeks. And that's just about it. The only one that I can't show a physical copy of that I want to mention is We Go Stalingrad, which is a Hex Encounters World War II game from Slithering. There's a review copy of that. I'll be making some content for that one soon. I've just started playing it now. So that's one I'm also looking forward to. That'll be showing up on the channel soon. But that's the PC wargaming side of things. So there it is, everything that's been new and in the house in the past 7 weeks or so. And this does connect back to the Advanced Squad Leader conversation, because most of the things I showed here are review copies, which means that I've made some sort of a promise to create some content for these games as they come in. And that means that there's a little bit of an urgency to them. And so it's not that my heart isn't into playing Advanced Squad Leader or doing the Summer Solo Challenge. It's a certain degree, I've made a commitment to creating some content for these games. And so I want to make sure I fill my commitments. So as I work through these, that's the wrong term. As I play through these and create content for them, then I'll be shifting back into Advanced Squad Leader. And this was an unusual surge of stuff that came in over the past 7 weeks. We've covered a lot of ground here. 2 topics left that I want to talk about. Let's talk about topic number 1, which is live streaming. So I mentioned in the games that I played that I did 2 live stream sessions. One was a guest on the Lock and Load channel where we played World at War 85 Blood and Fury on their YouTube channel using Tabletop Simulator. I really had fun doing that. And I haven't done much live gaming. And then as part of the Slytherin thing, they said, hey, can you do a live stream rather than static, produced content? And I said, sure, I'll give it a try. Why not? I really like doing that too. Now, I like making the recorded videos because I think there's a lot more quality and tightness I can create to the video. But I do think, as I've noticed, playing these games live also has a chance to create a different sort of experience, a different sort of video, and a different sort of event that can help build community for the channel. They're fun to do, and people seem to like them. So the question that I've got for people, and maybe you can toss it, at some point I'll put a survey up maybe about this, but I'm curious if the people who are watching this video would be interested in seeing more live stream content on the channel. At most it would be once a week. but I'm thinking probably twice a month to start out with to see how it goes. And then the follow-up question to that, is it yes or no? I don't watch that. I'm not interested in that, or I don't like it, and those elements. And I don't, just be honest, I don't really care I'd rather have your honest answer than your answer. But if you think that would be something that would be of interest to you, the next question is, what type of live stream content would be interesting? Because there's a lot of different ways to go with it. And what I would think is I'll probably test the waters by trying a bunch of different things. One idea is conversations where we just have some guests on and we talk about wargaming content. That would be one way to do it. Another way would be to invite someone on to play a game together on Tabletop Simulator. A third way to do it would be play a solo game, a solo board game on Tabletop Simulator. I don't have a setup yet. I would need more cameras and a different space to do live board gaming videos that we have people at a board game table or even playing solitaire. That I need another camera for that. That's what I'm saving up for, and some other elements to be able to do that. So that could be in the future. I don't have the capacity to do that now. The other thing would be PC hex encounters, kind of like we did with the Panzer Corps 2. The nice thing about that is that it's very easy to play in a live stream format because the rules are all managed for you in the background, so you don't have to stop to read the rule book or get bogged down in rules if you don't quite know what to do. So those are some rough thoughts. I'd be open to other ideas as well in terms of what people think would be interesting to see in live streams, what people might be interested in watching. So if you have thoughts on live streaming, if it'd be something you'd be interested, or if it's not, tell me that too. I'd be curious to hear what you think and love to hear it down in the comments. Last conversation topic is one that I think people might find interesting, was a conversation about miniatures. So I was curious how many people watching videos on the channel also do miniatures wargaming. With the idea, there's obviously the majority of people do board wargaming. As we did PC wargaming, found that a lot of people do PC gaming and PC wargaming as well. But I was curious about miniatures because it's been something I've been interested in exploring, but haven't really made the time to do it. I've got so much board gaming and PC gaming stuff to do that it's hard to find time to add something else. But I was curious to just see, is it 5% of people do miniatures wargaming as well, or 90%? So ask two questions and then ask for comments. And so I want to go through the questions first. The first question that we asked was, do you play miniatures wargaming? 204 responses. Guess what the percentage was of people that are watching this video, watching upcoming war games, and answered the question. What percentage do you think said, yes, I play miniatures, or no, I don't play miniatures? I'll give you 2 seconds. Here is the answer. 49% no, 51% yes. So roughly 50%, half of the people watching this video play miniatures wargaming as well as tabletop board gaming, or play and don't play anything else, which was, I thought, it's more than I thought. I would have, if you asked me to guess, I probably would have guessed 30%. I didn't realize it was that high. Now, the follow-up question to that was, that's a yes or no. That's a binary question. The follow-up question to that is a little bit more illuminating, which is more in line with what I perhaps thought. It says, thinking about your miniatures wargaming time compared to your board wargaming time, what's the ratio? Here's the answer to that one. So 75%, 3/4 of people said more time spent playing board war games than miniatures war games. Only 8% said more time playing miniatures than other war games, and 14% said about the same. And then there was a small percentage, whatever that leftover is, that says I don't play either types of games. So it could be people play PC gaming, or just tune into the channel to listen to me talk. I don't know. But anyway, so 50% of the viewers on the channel, roughly, if we extrapolate out to the viewers on the channel, play both miniatures and tabletop board war games or PC war games. And of that, 3/4 still play more board games than miniatures games. I do have on my list of videos to make is I paint my first mini. So that's a video, kind of a side project I just want to do at some point this summer. So that's going to be coming up, and I've got advice for it and all those pieces of things to get that done. So I do want to dig into it. I am curious to dig into it. I don't have time at the moment. The third part of the survey was people's comments, where I said, do you want to add anything else to the answers? And these are some of the most interesting things. Thanks to everybody who posted comments into the answers. I read through them all. I find them fascinating because I think they shed a lot of light on those two simple questions. The first thing that I realized as I read through everybody's contents is that there are so many niches and systems to miniatures games. And some people like one and don't like the other. For example, here's one. It says, although I do not play any type of miniatures only game, as distinct from a board game with miniatures, I'm only really interested in miniatures for fantasy and sci-fi games. And then the next person says, I love historical miniatures war games, especially ancient and medieval games, not into sci-fi and fantasy miniature war games. So there are miniature players that have their particular niche that they like and don't like, which I guess is the same for board war gamers too. And then this person shares, I have this one too, it's a bridge too far. I can't even remotely keep up with board games. So I get you, can relate to this one. The other aspect about miniatures that became apparent as I was reading through people's answers is that there's a lot of side hobbies associated with miniatures, and those often reflect on whether people like miniatures or not. So again, 2 comments, polar opposites. First person says, miniatures are super fun and painting is a relaxing and fulfilling hobby on its own. Next person says, miniatures is too much about painting. So again, you can see, I like this, I don't like this. The other person says exactly the opposite. You know, more time spent in the hobby assembling the miniatures than actually playing the games. So again, the idea of getting the miniatures ready to play is its own hobby here. Miniatures games for me represent the extension of a childhood hobby of mine, which was building and painting model airplane kits. Totally can see that. So you're building the miniatures, painting the miniatures, playing the games. These can all go together into one big hobby. Then just as a sample of a number of the systems out here, I just cherry picked a couple comments here. I used to play a lot of 40K, that must be a system. I think it's the Warhammer one when I was a teenager, but now with 3 kids, 40K is too pricey. Battletech has been the most affordable and easier to teach. Another person says, I currently play Flames of War. That's the aircraft one, is that right? And Team Yankee, I don't know what that one is, more often than the others. There's also a subcategory of miniature tabletop role-playing game wargaming, which, so again, so many different miniature systems. I knew there was a lot, but in terms of reading through people's answers with all of the comments on the different types, there's a whole world out there of miniatures systems. And there's sailing ones. I mean, there's everything, science fiction. It's just amazing. There are other elements about this too, where a couple people mentioned that miniatures, so here's one, miniature gaming is 99% with others. Board gaming is about 90% solo. And that came up in a few comments, the idea that most people, when they're playing miniatures, they're playing in a group with other people as opposed to solo. So maybe miniatures are less friendly as a solo system, and I'll leave that for you to fight that out over in the comments. I'm not taking a side either way. I have no idea. I'm just curious. There seemed to be a trend in the comments where people saying miniatures are for with other people and not solo. There was also a few people that mentioned the price of miniatures as being a reason why they haven't dug into it or haven't been able to go farther, that it gets fairly expensive to get sets and paints and platforms or all the things that you need. And so board gaming tends to be cheaper than miniatures, which was a reason people said they've either pulled back from the miniatures hobby or they haven't really explored it yet because of the price element. But there were a number of people also that mentioned hybrid types of things, like this comment here. I don't play minis war games. I find them too expensive and containing too little info compared to war game counters, but tend to buy minis rule sets quite often and just read through them / convert them to board games if I really like them. So that was a part about the conversation that people said you can take minis and do something else with them that is a niche within a niche and a sub niche that you really enjoy. You know, take the minis rules and take your board game elements and put those two things together and make a completely new rehash of a game that's using miniatures and board game elements to do something that you want to do, which I found really fascinating to see. So there's a lot of people, I think, doing creative things with minis other than just buying the minis rule sets and buying miniatures and playing miniatures the way they're intended to be played, which I think is probably less than happens with board games. Board games, to me, at least in my experience, not too many people hack board games or take components from a board game and put them together with another board game to make something different. So a little bit more freedom or less boundary-ridden gameplay with miniatures. Again, I'm making stuff up here, so correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. And last comment on this one that I thought was just funny, and that's why I want to put it in there. Too large of a footprint, and my partner would kill me. Totally can relate to that one. Anyway, so thank you very much to everybody who's put in your answers on miniatures wargaming. I found it very fascinating, and I must say that after reading through the comments, my curiosity is definitely tweaked, and I'm interested to explore a little bit with minis, but I don't have time right now. So if I can't do it at this point. I'm going to try to paint one mini this summer. That's it. But so if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that one thing that I do is I get really excited about an idea and I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. But realistically, I just don't have time to do all of the things. Even though I want to do all of the things, I don't have time to do all of the things. So I'm trying to be a little bit better than promising things on the channel that I get 2 weeks later. It's like, when am I going to do this? So I'm going to try to dampen that enthusiasm a little bit. But my heart is there. I would really love to try miniatures, but yeah, time, money, it's not quite going to happen yet. At some point, maybe after retirement, I'll think about it. And that brings us almost to the end, but we have some stuff to give away. $50 store gift certificate from our sponsor, Noble Knight Games. This will go to one of the people that entered in the survey about miniatures wargame. Over 200 entrants. Let's see who our random winner will be. I'm going to push the start button now. Bunch of names going up. Over 200 people. We have Michael Moran 2314. Congratulations on winning the $50 store gift certificate to Noble Knight Games. I'll be reaching out to you on the email that you provided in the survey. So look for that, and then we'll get you the $50 store gift certificate to Noble Knight Games. Thanks to everybody else who entered. Upcoming war games will be coming out in about a week. I'm actually working on it now. So if you didn't win this one, the next video will have an opportunity to win, so you can check that out and enter into another contest. Thanks for everybody for playing. Thanks everybody for watching our monthly update this month. I feel like these are getting a little bit longer each month, but there's a lot of things to talk about. So we've just so many interesting things to converse about. Down below, I would love to hear one of three things, or all of three things. First up, I would be very curious to hear any thoughts you might have on the miniatures comments and conversation, things you might want to add to that. I'm very curious about learning more. Second thing is, I'd love to hear your thoughts on live streaming. Yes, no, what types of live streaming might interest you. I do want to give that a try in the upcoming months, and I'm likely to try a number of formats and see what I like and what people like in terms of viewership, and then putting something together that would be a little bit more consistent on the channel in that regard. The third and final thing is, how's your summers going? Are you playing the solo summer game of the month? Have you started Empire of the Sun? How's your Shelf of Shame challenge going? You should have updated that too, but we'll do that in the next one. Other than that, what are you playing? What's going on? Are you busy with other things in the summer? I'd love to hear more from you on that regard down in the comments down below. Thank you for watching, everybody. We'll see you in an upcoming War Games episode soon and other videos on the channel. Have a great summer.